NTV Wild Talk in partnership with the Kenya Wildlife Service and Wildlife Direct.
Hello and welcome to NTV Wild Talk with me, Smriti Vidyathi, coming to you from Taita Sarovar Salt Lake. Now this is the operation headquarters for an elephant census, which in fact is going to be taking place out in Tsavo. Now, an elephant census means counting elephants, but this exercise is an aerial count, and hence all these small planes behind me. This is a critical exercise. It's not just counting for fun. It is extremely meaningful with a purpose. Now, let me just briefly tell you about the atmosphere over here. What you can see are plenty of planes, and everyone is really getting ready to head out there for that census. People have been checking the oil, the pilots. Everyone who is involved in this exercise has been getting their notes ready, their gadgets, because as I say, it is very important. But let's find out more about that with Erastus Akanga. He is the Senior Assistant Director of Biodiversity at the Kenya Wildlife Service. Great to be with you.
Yeah, good morning.
A very good morning to you. It is indeed a crisp morning, and the planes are getting their engines up and running before they head out. Now, Erastus, tell us first, what exactly is a census? How do you define that?
A wildlife census per se is an activity of counting each and every animal that you have in a national park or a protected area.
Wow, so that sounds like a lot of work because it literally is counting all the animals, but why is that done? Why is it an important exercise?
This is actually a critical exercise, and it is one of our routine activities within KWS to ensure that we are able to know the animals that we have for purposes of management and decision making, because for sure you cannot manage what you don't know. So we move around here, we fly, we drive, and ensure that we count each and every elephant that we have in this ecosystem so that we can be able now to inform management actions.
And why has Tsavo been the chosen location?
The Tsavo Conservation Area is about 50% of the total of our protected areas. The number two is this particular ecosystem is holding a third of our elephant population in Kenya.
So it is a critical ecosystem. What are some of the key challenges that the elephants here face in particular?
The human population increase and the demand for additional space. So we are seeing elephants losing their habitats within the community and the group ranches. That is challenge number one. And then coming with the human population, the other associated activities like livestock grazing, which is also taking up a lot of the areas that the elephants and the other wildlife species are utilizing within the Tsavo.
And no doubt possibly development too, because we've got the SGR cutting through the park as well, the standard gauge railway.
Not only standard gauge railway, but also the climate changes that we are seeing around. The current drought is a serious challenge for us.
Right. Erastus, who is involved in this elephant census? KWS, of course, but who else?
We are involving the county government of Taita Taveta, the county government of Kitui, but specifically our donors would include the USAID, African Wildlife Foundation, the David Shendricks Trust, Wildlife Trust, we have the Tsavo Trust, we have World Wildlife Fund for Nature, and we have the International Fund for Animal Welfare.
And Save the Elephants, no doubt.
Save the Elephants,
all right.
Our critical partner.
Of course.
Yes,
so
yes.
A lot of people coming on board for this really critical exercise. And what should we expect this morning? These planes really are waiting to head out, but give us a brief explanation.
This morning we are starting off with 8 aircrafts. And building up from yesterday, we shall be flying across the border of Kenya and Tanzania. We have our Tanzanian counterparts doing a similar exercise in the Mkomazi National Reserve. So we are covering back to back the blocks that are actually aligned to the border so that we avoid any double counts. Okay. So we will be ending to the southern part, and every aircraft here has been assigned a block which is approximately 600 kilometers square. A block is normally like 24 kilometers by 24
Okay,
kilometers.
wow. Well, we'll get into those details, but so much flying. How much is this exercise costing?
This exercise will cost us approximately 20 million Kenya shillings, and that money is partitioned into the aircraft fuel, the tanks that you're seeing behind us there, and the payment for the accommodation at the Salava Hotel.
All right, so a lot of investment being put into this. And how often does this exercise happen?
This being our routine monitoring activity, we undertake it after every 3 years. The last time we were here was in February 2014.
Okay, great. So lots to learn about this elephant census. I don't want to miss the planes heading out. We do need to speak to some of the participants. Come over with me. So these participants are getting on this Save the Elephants aircraft. Hello, great to see you guys. What's your name?
My name is Vincent Zhao.
Okay, Vincent, who do you work with?
I work for the county government of Kitui.
All right, and you are participating in this census. Have you done it before?
No, this is my first time to do the census,
Oh,
participate in the census.
really? And have you headed out? Did you go out yesterday?
Yesterday, yes, I went out.
And since it's your first time, what was it like?
It's a very encouraging experience. I'm very happy to participate in this. It's wonderful.
And what were some of the difficulties being your first time?
When we are counting right in the field, sometimes we get a group of the wildlife coming together and become a bit of a challenge to estimate the numbers.
I can imagine,
Yeah.
yes. And what is this here that you're holding? Are you working on block 14?
Yeah, yes. Today we are counting block 14. Maybe we shall be doing half of it, and another plane will be doing another half of the
All
block.
right, excellent. Well, good luck for today.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Martha Nzisa.
All right, Martha, and who do you work with?
I work with Kenya Wildlife Service, Savo East, as a research scientist.
Oh, a research scientist. Excellent. Have you done a count before?
This is my sixth one.
Oh, your sixth one.
Yes.
That's amazing. And how have things changed over each time?
We've changed the methods that we are using. Now we are using streamers. Previous one, 2014, we used streamers, but the previous ones we were not.
What's a streamer?
A streamer is this thing fixed on the aircraft.
Oh, right. Okay, I
Yes.
understand. Well, we'll definitely learn more about that later. And tell us your favorite thing about this exercise, considering that you've done it 6 times now.
The first one, being a scientist in Savo, I want to know the numbers. I want to know where the elephants are. I want to know any human activities in the park, where the water is. So when we're managing the park and we're looking for any interventions that we need to make, the information that we gain today helps us do those things.
Brilliant. Okay, I can see that your pilot is already in there,
Yes.
ready to go. So
Yes.
good luck to you all, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right, off you go. Okay, let's now head off to the next plane because there's still plenty more people heading out. Hi. How are you?
Hi, thank you.
Good, good. What's your name?
I'm Steven Dambuki.
All right, Stephen, there is quite a bit of noise because, as I say, the planes are all heading to get out. Stephen, what's your position here? What do you do?
I'm a research scientist, so I'm here as an observer
With the Kenya Wildlife Service.
with the Kenya Wildlife Service.
And as an observer, what's your role in this exercise?
In this exercise, my role is to count animals from the plane. That is, I make observations, and then I count the animals, I record them, I take the data, then I bring the data to the ground crew.
And what is this that you're holding? I see you've got a lot of equipment with you.
Yeah, I have quite a number of equipment which I'm using for the count. First of all, I have the map of the area that I'm going to do the census. It has both X and Y coordinates to guide me. I'll be also be guided by a GPS. It has the same kind of coordinates, so I'll be using my GPS to navigate through the map. I have a voice recorder where I'll be recording my data here. So I'll not be writing my data down. If I make an observation, I see elephants, I count them, then I record them in this voice recorder.
Oh, wow, all right.
Any numbers larger than 10,
Yes.
I have to take a photo. And taking a photo will mean the plane has to circle the animals so that I get the right estimate, and I take a photo to come and confirm that that's the actual number that I counted.
Amazing. All right. So you have a big responsibility. All the very best. It sounds incredible. And as I said, this is not just counting for fun. It's hard work. All right. I'll leave you to it. Your pilot's waiting as well.
Yeah.
Safari Njema.
Okay, thank
See
you.
All right. On to the next one. Hello. Hi. What's your name?
Monica Chege.
All right, Monica. What is your position? What are you doing?
I'm the front seat observer for this plane.
For this aircraft,
Yes.
which, if you come over here, really is a very small aircraft. It's only got 2 seats. So all sorts of different aircraft are getting involved in this exercise.
Yeah.
Monica, how often have you done this exercise for?
I've done it for most of the censuses. Yeah.
Look at that plane.
Whoa.
Let's just give that plane a moment. It is a noisy atmosphere and plenty of dust as well coming our way. Oh boy. Okay. So this is the moment now that all these planes are heading out. Everyone's eager to get out because, of course, elephants are probably out more in the morning than during the afternoon. So the census does take place early in the morning.
Yes.
Let's perhaps move out over here. There we go. So you were telling me, how often have you been involved in this?
I've done pretty much most of the censuses.
Really?
Yes, yes.
And how do you feel when you do it? Because it is an exercise that requires a lot of time and dedication. How do you feel?
It's tiring, but it's always very nice and exciting to be part of an important exercise.
Why do you think that this is an important exercise?
Because we get to know if the measures KWS has put in place, if they are working, and also other conservation partners, and how well the populations are doing.
And based on previous exercises, particularly here in Savo, are the measures working?
Yes,
They are working.
Yes.
And what are your biggest concerns about the elephant population here in Savo?
Mostly it's the livestock coming into the park, so they are competing with the elephants, and also the drought. It's very dry out there.
Lots to look out for. All the very best. Your pilot is also waiting, so have a good trip.
Okay,
And good
bye-bye.
luck. Bye-bye. See you. Okay, so look, everybody has boarded the planes now. Really exciting moments here. So many of these participants have been part of an elephant census, but some have never done this before. And let me tell you that everybody involved in this census has actually undergone 3 days of intensive training. In just a moment, we'll find out much more about that. So Erastus, to participate in this entire process, everybody had to go through training. Take us through where we are right now.
This is the command and control center for the census, and in this room, this is where we are issuing all the briefings in the morning and again in the evening. This is where we are issuing all the tasks. This is where we started the training, and again at the back there, this is where we have our database.
All right, so right now it's empty because everybody's out, but how many people are actually involved in this census?
We were 84 people. We went through a rigorous training for 3 days, and out of the 3 days, with 84 people, 29 could not make it through the academy. So we actually had to take them back to Nairobi yesterday.
no.
So we are 55 people here right now.
All right, so you had to pass the test. We'll learn more about that. But I see lots of maps and documentation behind us. Let's get closer and you can tell us what everything is. What's this?
This is actually, these are instructions for today. We have to indicate the registration number of the aircraft that will be flying. Every aircraft here has a pilot. There are 8 of them. we have to indicate the blocks that they will be working in, that they will be flying and counting the animals in, and we have the list of the observers.
Let's look at the map of Kenya and really explain to our viewers where all this work is going through. This is the map. What's this?
In this map of Kenya, the green spots are all the protected areas that we have, and below here, this is our area of interest. The green part is we have the Savo East, then we have the Savo West, we have the Galana Lanches, we have the Taita Lanches, and we have the Chulus around this place, and all these, the Savo ecosystem forms what we call the southern rangelands of Kenya that are very important in terms of wildlife conservation.
Right, so basically this is the Savo area here, the national park, but the activity is happening all around here, and this area here is actually part of Tanzania.
This is Mkomazi National Park, and we have our colleagues in Tanzania who are actually doing a similar exercise alongside our work.
Okay, well, let's now see how you actually break down, because this really is a huge space.
Yes.
And this is now the breakdown. It looks very complex.
It looks very complex. A lot of work has gone into this, a lot of planning. Initially, we ended to break it down into 90 blocks. And every of this block, the smallest is about 200 kilometer squares, and the biggest is 600 kilometer squares. 600 kilometer squares, the dimension is that block is 24 by 24 kilometers.
So huge spaces, very, very vast. How challenging is it then for these aircraft to fly around this area in a very organized way, and for the observers to count the elephants? There must be a system in place.
There's a system that we've put in place. We have a lead pilot who is coordinating all the other pilots, ensuring that he allocates each of the pilot blocks. They agree on their communication, and they agree when they take off who is going where, and they keep that communication in the air to ensure that we don't encounter any kind of accident.
Okay, well, that's something to consider, because if you look at this space, obviously pilots aren't just flying anywhere and everywhere. They are allocated blocks, but how do they operate within blocks? And also, what are these red markings?
These red markings are actually instructions to all the pilots and the observers. First thing is people have to be informed which is our operational base, which is actually the hotel where we are. It is marked here so that in case anybody gets lost anywhere, they can be able to find their way back. Up here, this is Komboyo. This is one of our fueling stations. If the pilots are on this upper part of the ecosystem, instead of flying back into the hotel back to come and fuel, they fuel at Komboyo. When they go on this other side of the Galanas, we have a fueling center at Salagate. So when they operate here, that is the fueling center, and it's also a place where they go and relax.
And this now is narrowing into a smaller block.
This now, if we look at the blocks that we've allocated this morning,
yes,
along the Kenya-Tanzania border, we'll take an interesting block that is block number 21,
okay,
which is actually very close to Lake Jipe.
Okay.
Yes, block number 21, when the pilots move out, this is a block that has to be flown east-west direction, so that when it is sunny, when the sun is actually up, the observers are actually just moving towards or against the sun, and they can be able to count animals on the north or the southern side here. That way it ensures that they are not blinded by the sun. And if you look at this now detailed map, we've created a cluster of global information system lines and points. And the pilots have to navigate using their GPS gadgets, and the observers also have GPS gadgets. So it's serious teamwork that if the pilots get out of the line, he is actually alerted by the observer. If the observer is not keen, the pilot will alert the observer that we are within our counting block. And they have to fly, if they are flying north, or they are flying south, or they are flying west, when they get to the end of the transect, they turn and move back. The flights are so consistent that you have to ensure that you are counting animals on a strip of 500 meters on either side of the aircraft.
It sounds extremely scientific and extremely intense. And as you said, a lot of teamwork involved. We'll find out much more about that later. But how high up do the pilots fly?
On average, we are supposed to keep a height of 300 feet above the ground. And every evening when the aircraft are back, we are able to check from the gadgets that they are flying in and further recalibrate them. We show them results here and we tell them, today you are flying a little bit higher.
So really everything is being monitored. Yes. Okay, now you had mentioned that a number of people were actually sent back to Nairobi because they did not pass the final test. What was that test?
That final test was the eyesight.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you have to, okay, let's go there, because what I'm seeing here is, you know, what you see at an optician's office.
Yes. we are very keen to make sure that when you are up there 300 meters, 300 feet above the ground, you should be able to observe an elephant, a giraffe, a buffalo, and any other thing of interest when you are up there on the ground. So the first thing is that we have to look at your eyesight, because we don't want you to see blind vision when you are up there. Okay. So this is important for us, and we have our very clear standard which is accepted that at the level of 2020, that is very nice eyesight. So we created a band of between 2020 and 2040. Anybody who was not able to lack on this, if they were above 2040, those are people that we eliminated, because when they're up there, they might not be able to identify the species and differentiate them.
Oh, wow. So a lot of work. I want to see how I would do. So let me participate in this test and see really if I would be included in this census. So I guess I should stand at this line here.
That line is 6 meters away from our target. And the idea is for you to read these numbers.
Okay, those letters. Let's go for it. Test me.
I'll start you with 50-50. Can you tell me which letter is this? Great.
That's easy.
2040. Which
D.
letter? Oh, great. 2030. Which letter is this?
H.
2025.
T.
2020.
F.
Oh, great.
I think, am I right?
You are right.
Test me on another 2020 to be sure.
This
H.
letter. Aha.
N. Okay, great. So it seems like I am actually good enough. I've got perfect 20/20 vision. I know I'm wearing my glasses. If I wasn't wearing my glasses, I would be a complete failure. But this basically means that I would be able to be an observer. So guess what? When we come back from the break, Erastus, myself, and the team will in fact be heading out to understand what it's like and get a sense of the census out there from the sky. This is NTV Wild Talk. Do stay with us, plenty more after the break. Welcome back to NTV Wild Talk with me, Smriti Vidyarthi, coming to you from Sarova here in Taita. So before we took the break, I did pass the test, so I'm going to get a sense now of what it's like to get in that plane and go out and do that elephant census. I am no expert though, I have not gone through the full training. Joining me here though is Frank Pope. He is the CEO of Save the Elephants and the pilot of that plane too. Great to be with you, Frank. Tell us first, what is the role of the pilot in the census and why is it such a critical exercise for you?
The role of the pilot is really to transport the observers and the eyes in the sky and the crew. So our job is primarily to keep the plane sort of scanning across the landscape in a predictable way at a certain speed, at a certain height, so that the observers have got the best chance possible to see all they can on the ground. And we're only counting 3 species. We're counting elephants, giraffe and buffalo to try and increase the accuracy of the observations.
And how challenging is that to be accurate and to maintain that level and to get everything that you really need to get so that this census is a success?
It's quite a data-rich exercise these days. So we've got a lot of we've got GPSs that we're flying by, and those are being downloaded and giving all sorts of information, and it's actually harder than it looks. You think you're keeping a constant speed, but there's wind at play, and the height is always changing over the terrain, so it's quite hard to keep it straight. The other part when it comes difficult is when you see a big herd of elephants, because it's very hard to count accurately on a single pass. At that point you have to start circling slowly, and all the pilots here are practiced at flying low and slow, but that's the most dangerous flying you can do. Really? Because you've got no airspeed and you're trying to circle and count and circle over one space in a wind and so on. So it's good challenging flying.
What are some of the other risks involved in this exercise?
The biggest risks are from flying, and our job is, apart from flying accurately, is to fly safely. So those are the kind of mechanics of the count. The reason it's important is that this is the very most fundamental data that we can get on elephants, and this is the metric by which we can judge whether we're succeeding or we're failing.
And is it by far better and easier to do this by air than counting on the ground?
It's very hard to do on the ground. You have to do it on the ground in the forests, and you can do meticulous surveys, basically just counting done.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay.
And then extrapolating upwards from that. There are very expensive genetic techniques from which you can estimate the size of a population, but this kind of total count, an attempt to count every elephant in the ecosystem, is by far the most accurate you can do.
So I've never been in such a small plane before. As a first-time observer, although I'm just doing this for the experience, I'm not actually really participating in the census. What should I expect?
It's fairly close to the middle of the day. It's the hottest part of the day, so it's going to be bumpy.
Okay.
If we do see elephants on our transect, we're going to fly a couple of transects. So we've divided up the landscape into these blocks. We'll fly along this transect, keeping a steady height, keeping it steady, keeping it as stable as possible for the observers. If we do see elephants, we'll turn quite rapidly, and we'll start turning round and round those elephants until you get a good count. Okay. And we're not going to stop until you're sure how many elephants there are.
All right, okay? I will sit tight.
So at that point, you've got to try not to be sick. Okay. Because that's one of the most fundamental things.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
What is it that you love most about this job?
Its importance. This is the front line of elephant research and science, and it underpins all of the conservation efforts that go on. So without work like this to gauge our success, we wouldn't know where we are.
All right, super. Well, let's not wait any longer. It's time to get in, so let's go for it. Wish us luck.
Okay.
It's really quite small. Oh. Okay, I'm in.
I'm actually going to squeeze in here as well.
Okay.
Okay, here you go. Here's your
All right,
equipment.
thank you.
Okay, if you just hunch up your legs a little bit while I squeeze in.
Whoa.
Come forward.
Ah, there we go. That's good.
Savo Conservation Area Total Aerial Count Datasheet February 2017. Pilot Flag Bob Aircraft Registration STE Block Number 27. Front Seat Observer Fidel. Rear Seat Observer Left Smliti. Rear Seat Observer Right Kanga. 17th of February 2017. Takeoff time 14 hours, 17 minutes. Ready to take off.
Okay, everyone secure, happy?
Yep.
Buffalo.
All right. Okay, and we're back safe. Frank, thanks for an awesome flight. Appreciate it. Not so much turbulence. So we have just come back from experiencing what it feels like to do a census, and I've got to say it is not as easy as one might think. Counting those elephants from up there is quite a task, especially if they're so huddled up, which they were. But what we also saw were other species and also some elephant carcasses. The team from the morning is now back. They were out actually collecting all the data. So let's go find out how that data is inputted and then what happens with it. So this operation headquarters is now buzz with activity, meetings happening behind me and ahead of me. The data analysts are now collecting all the information that's been brought in from the field. And with me now is Joseph Mukeke. He is the GIS analyst. How critical is it that this team is here and that they are collecting the data, and what exactly are they doing with it?
The purpose of this center is always to download the GPSs and the voice recorders, such that at the end of the day, we should be able to give out. It's just like a tallying center. So we need to know what species were counted, where the species were counted, and the tallies for every particular block in every day.
Why is all of this important? What will then happen with it?
We want to collect and collate all the data that has been collected within the entire Savo ecosystem. The only way to bring it together is through this system. So what we normally do is every data that comes in every day, second day, subsequent days, we use particular softwares that we merge together so that at the end of the census, we are able to give out total numbers of elephants.
Okay, well, I'm going to go around and meet some of your team members and find out more about this data collection. Okay, hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Festus Iwagi.
All right, and what is your role?
My role is to do the very first step of receiving the data. On my desk, I receive the voice recorders. The voice recorders contain all the audio from the front seat observers up in the sky. I download all of it and pack it up in one folder before it is transcribed by the other team members. In addition, I download the cameras as they come in. When we have a sighting of more than 10 elephants, we require that a photo is taken so that we can verify from here what the exact count.
And do you tend to get a lot of photos and images on that camera?
Yes, I do get a lot of photos in specific blocks where we know we have elephants aggregating. For example, blocks that are along the river, we have more elephants, so we get more photos taken.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll leave you to it. Thanks very much. All right, and now to the next step, which is over here, I believe. Hi there, what's your name?
My name is Rose.
Rose, what is your job here in this, this system of data collection?
Well, this is where we compile all the data from the GPS units. When they go out, they collect points of where they've made sightings of the wildlife, and they also track the aircraft movement, so we download it here. And that way we can see if the block has been well covered, and then we can use the points collected. We merge them with the data entry from the database. Then you're able to do a distribution map showing you where the wildlife was.
And if you notice that perhaps all the block hasn't been covered, then what happens?
Then we notify the team and ask them what happened, so that if there was a problem, then perhaps they can repeat, or maybe there was nothing to see.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, on to the next. Hi there, what's your name?
My name is Alex Mwazo.
Okay, Alex, and what's your role here?
We receive actually data from the voice recorders. Then we come and listen to those voice recorders, transcribe the data into the data sheet. Then after finishing the transcribing, we enter the data into the database for further analysis.
And at times, is it difficult to understand, or have you gotten used to really that type of communication?
It's a tough job. You need to be alert, you concentrate, and be very attentive so that at least you can capture everything what the observers have recorded, so at least you don't miss any numbers.
This really is a huge team, and that is primarily because there is so much data. But now, on to the next one. Hello. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Gloria.
Gloria, what is it that you're working on?
I'm transcribing the data that we get from the voice recorders and putting it down on paper, so we have a hard copy record of it and an audio copy. It's good to have both records, yeah. And this is going to be fed into another database that it's going to link the ground GPS points and the data we have, and then they can do like a complete count of everything we have.
Great, thanks very much. It really is important that the entire data team is accurate in their data collection. Any information that is lost, or if any technology fails, then the entire process has to be redone. But overall, how is this process working? I'm about to go find out. So I've really gotten a sense of how this census works, and it is indeed very intense, very scientific, and a lot of effort goes into it. But despite that, how sure, Erastus, are we that it is accurate?
This census results will be pretty accurate because we have invested a lot of resources and personnel, and the training that we have put into them over the last 3 days was immense.
How long has it taken to plan for a census like this?
It's taken us about 1 year. We started planning in February last year, and every 2 months we would call a stakeholders meeting.
And now, how soon can we actually expect the final results from this census?
After the last day of the count, we will give our teams another 3 weeks to process the data and prepare the report. So we give it 1 month from now and we have results.
And what exactly are we expecting? Because this census happens every 3 years. What were the results from the last census?
The last census, particularly for elephants, we counted 11,217.
In this area alone?
In this ecosystem alone.
Wow. Is that a good thing? A good number?
That was a good number because from the previous census of 2011, it was pretty stable.
And what is a good census result?
A good census report is when it is well executed and people have confidence in the results. It does not matter whether the numbers have gone down or the numbers have gone up. It is the confidence that people have in that particular result, because either way, actions have to be taken, management actions have to be taken.
And give us examples of what kind of actions are taken. For example, we saw a number of elephants. When I went out, at least, we saw some carcasses as well. There have been reports of cattle in the park. So what then does KWS do?
The report that we are going to have, there are 4 things that we are going to critically utilize these results for. One is what we call general management actions. Under general management actions, we are able to deploy our staff because we know where the animals are in space and time. We are also able to distribute water plants moving forward. A lot of things we are able to inform our management actions from these particular results. Moving forward again, our policies are keeping on changing. This is the data and the information that we feed into our policy process. And particularly, it is a requirement by law now that we are supposed to report through our Cabinet Secretary to Parliament every 2 years on the status of wildlife in the entire country. This is where it starts, from gathering this kind of information. And at the international level, this information will go into the elephant database. This information will use it to go into conferences and workshops and tell the world how our wildlife is performing.
So you said that 3 years ago the numbers were looking at around 11,200 or thereabouts. Are we hoping for a larger population, or is that a stable number?
I am confident that the last 3 years we've not experienced any turbulence in poaching. We've seen the recent drought just came like 6 months ago, and from our field monitoring is that this population will remain stable.
Okay, and what other things may impact the final result? Of course, the drought, and what about issues such as the standard gauge railway and human-wildlife conflict?
Definitely the impact of the standard gauge railway, we cannot be able to get them right now, because the standard gauge railway has not caused any mortalities on the elephants. What we are seeing is that we were able to establish underpasses and bridges where through our monitoring we are seeing elephants are using them. However, we can only be able to come back after another 3 years because the impact of the railway has what we call a lag effect. It's not instant. It can only happen after 4-5 years. So when we come for the next census, we will be able to tell people that we are seeing the movement of elephants as either been interfered with, or we will be telling people that we are seeing the movement was not adversely affected, and we are seeing again a stable population. On the part of livestock, this is an issue that is driven by the drought in the north, the drying up, and the pastoral communities have to survive with their livestock. Yeah. However, the KWS management is doing all what it can to be able to push the animals out of the park.
Okay, so are you confident that the elephants, particularly here in the Tsavo ecosystem, are safe?
I can say that with no doubt that our boots are on the ground in every corner of the park and both of the parks, and elephants are safe in Tsavo ecosystem. All
right, well, we certainly hope so, but we will wait and watch for those results that essentially will be the proof. The proof is in the numbers. Erastus, thanks very much for joining us and for your time on NTV Wild Talk.
Thank you.
All right, so that is an overview of the entire elephant census that has taken place right here in Tsavo. It has been a fascinating experience. From that, we are shifting focus. Now it is time for our wild guess question. How many elephants were counted in the last Tsavo census 3 years ago? How many elephants were counted in the last Tsavo census 3 years ago? To participate, just like the NTV Wild Facebook page. Only answers posted on the timeline post that's associated with this question will be considered. The first person to answer correctly wins 2 nights for 2 at the Sarova Salt Lick Game Lodge, where you'll experience a luxurious safari escape overlooking a waterhole and the vast Tsavo Plains. Plus, a free entry for 4 people and a vehicle to any national park of your choice, courtesy of the Kenya Wildlife Service. 1 bottle of wine, courtesy of Wines of the World, and a gift hamper, courtesy of Wildlife Direct. Terms and conditions apply and can be found on the NTV Wild Facebook page. Last week's lucky winner was Daniel Munyua. And now here is our Wild Pick segment. This is a photo of Evelyn Mishuki. She was at the Mount Kenya Safari Club feeding a monkey. She says, "I love nature and animals. They make very good friends." At the Lake Nakuru National Park, this is a snap of Keith Kiari. This was a selfie with a zebra. He was on a family trip to have a good time while appreciating nature's gifts to our beautiful country, he says. Patrick Kisangao with his best friend Patricia Awori and host Sue feature in this photo taken at the Sirikoi Lodge in Lewa Conservancy. They were having a meal with an uninvited or invited guest, that giraffe. Patrick says, "Holiday manenos." And then Collins Imbugwa in the red and his friends were at Point Lenana on Mount Kenya. They were posing while on a mission dubbed Climb to Educate, which raises funds for the less fortunate. Collins says they always had a love for nature. Awardinda was at the Kisumu Impala Sanctuary, seeing and touching the hyacinth at the lakeshore. Awar says that she went there for a walk over the weekend. If you want your photo showcased on our Wild Pick segment, just like our NTV Wild Facebook page and send in a good quality photo that shows you celebrating nature via private message. Include your full name, tell us where the photo was taken, what you were doing and why. Huge investment has been put into the Tsavo elephant census because every single elephant counts. This census goes a long way in telling us how well or how badly our elephant populations are doing, and then what action needs to be taken. Well, that's it on NTV Wild Talk with me, Smriti Vidyarthi, coming to you from Taita. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next Tuesday at 10 p.m.
NTV Wild Talk in partnership with the Kenya Wildlife Service and Wildlife Direct.